Okay, in this video, what we're going to try and do, or well, I say what I'm going to try and do, is as quickly as possible run through the material setup that you need to do for vehicles when you're using the UTGame code. Now, if for whatever reason you don't want to use the UTGame code, then you're going to have to approach it a different way. But having had a look at what they have done, well, I say they, Epic, with the UTGame code, it gives you an idea of where you need to be going. Okay, I won't say that the way they do it is perfect. Well, it works for them, but it might not work for you. But so basically, it's a run through on how they've set things up, and I'll try my best to explain as much as what I know. And for everything else, you're just going to have to start digging in deep. Okay, so let's go to the vehicle Scorpion content. If you haven't found this, it's in the let's see, go to the top, UTGame content. We don't want to look in DevCorp at the moment. UT3 vehicles Scorpion. Let's have a look in the materials folder. Now in here you will find loads and loads of stuff. Alright. Now if I go down here, you're looking at bomb, flattened, boost effects, weapon effects, all that sort of stuff. They've put it all into the one folder. Whether that's what you want to do, it's up to you. Personally, I prefer to have my textures in a separate subfolder, as you'll see when we look at the at my packages. But at the moment, we'll just have a look at what Epic's got here. Now, if you go down to the bottom, you will find using the prefix T for texture. Always a good idea. So I actually find it a very good system. Okay, so we've got the diffuse textures, we've got damage mask textures, emissive masks, normals, speculars, all that sort of things. An extra one for the damage vehicles. Okay, so that's where they've got all them. Well, I'll go back down. You can see the sizes. Here they're using, for your normal vehicle textures, 1024 size. Your emissive mask is 128. Fine. I suppose you could make that the normal emissive a 512. Not too sure why it's 1024. Maybe it makes it easier on the system to stop scaling, any scaling problems. But anyway, they're in there. Okay, so basic textures. Just import, when you import them, make sure, let's see if I can get this very quickly, open this one up. Alright, when you import them, the LOD group is set to vehicle, either if it's the normal diffuse or the emissive or damage masks, you set the LOD group to vehicle. Now if it's a normal map, then vehicle normal. If it's a specular, vehicle specular. Okay, I just wanted to point that one out. I'm sure I've mentioned it on other ones, but we'll go for that. The physics materials, I suppose, in the material folder. Personally, I don't really think they belong in there, but because the materials are in the material folder. Okay, I'm not going to deal with them at this moment in time, because they're not really dealing with what I want to cover in this video. Okay, I'll try to do a little extra one for that later. Now, what we're going to see here is we've got quite a lot of materials. Well, you think the materials. Okay, with different prefixes. And there's a reason for this. I'll just hold on down here a moment. Alright, because here you've got MI as a prefix and here MITV. Now, if you don't know what these are, they're the prefixes for a material instant constant. Okay, and this one is a material instant time varying. Now if you want to see them, just right click in a free space and you got material instance constant and material instant time varying. Now a quick one by the by on this, the time varying is pretty much your damage mask. When you shoot a vehicle and you see a change in the texture or the material on the vehicle, it's because of this. Okay, and obviously when you heal the vehicle, that will go away, which is why it has to be a time varying. Alright. Also, the more damage you get, the bigger the effect is. Where if you were just using the normal damage material on an instant constant, then once you get the damage on, it will stay on. Okay, I think that's the best way to explain that one. Now, we'll have a look at them in a minute. Well, probably take more than a few minutes, like, but what we're going to do initially is have a look at the material instant constant vehicle Scorpion Red. Alright, just double click on it, open it up, and there we see a nice picture of the Scorpion and lots of bump here. Now initially what you want to make sure is that your materials are parented, because this is an instance. Okay, it's not the actual material itself. We'll have a look at that shortly. Alright, but it's the way I'm doing it is a little bit back to front, I know, but you really need to see what's going on here before we actually go to the main material, because otherwise you'll go, well, what's all that for? And you'll know because you've seen it here. Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to make this bit smaller so we can open these up a little easier. Physical material mask, not interested. Parent. What is this instant? You can see the name up here, material instance editor. Okay, so this is not the material editor, it's the editor for the material instance. Okay, because basically I think the way they look at it is it's like on the characters, you have one material that is set up with all your variables, all your parameters, the whole lot in there, and then via either your base instance, or as far as the vehicle's concerned, they haven't gone that far. They just link the material to the base, well, the actual main material, and then tweak the values as it suits them. Now, I'm being as clear as mud, I know, but it is, once you actually start digging into these things and playing around with them, you'll get an idea of what's going on. For me to sit here and lecture you on every single factor, which I don't know myself because there's that many, I've just dealt with what I need, which is pretty much the way I learn, and it's also the way I teach. Okay, so let's just go in and have a look at these things. Now, like I say, you parent it to the main material. Okay, so what does that actually give us? Well, it gives us vector parameters, scalar parameters, texture parameters, switches, and for those that are playing with the mobile content, obviously a mobile texture. No, I haven't got one of these eye things, so I'm not interested. Sorry. If you need information on that, I suggest you go start digging on UDN. Anyway, let's get back to the main part of this video. Right, vector parameter values. What are they? Well, let's just open this up and have a look. PS3 shimmer hack. UDK can't export to PS3. Bin it, not interested. A specular color shift. Might be interesting to use. Team color glow. Why is that yellow? Don't know. Okay, leave it. Vehicle distance, team color, vehicle normal multiply, vehicle overlay color. Play around with it, see what it does. I'm just pointing these things out to you so you can see where, if you need to change things, where you can do it. Okay, because these are just color values. Okay, now scalar parameter values. This gets a little bit more complicated. Now, here, what have we got? Use the brake light. Yep. To what value? 15. Okay. Damage tiling diffuse, damage tiling normal, damage normal tiling. Oh, sorry, detail. Can't even read proper. Okay. Reverse light. Yep. These are the sort of things that you might be wanting to use, and this is how you can change the values. Vehicle distance, I believe that is the distance. Alright, team colour range. Could that mean that if it's 2048 Unreal units away, not going to bother with it? Quite possible. I'm not saying it is, but that's just the way my head works. Now, I'll show you a little trick here, because I can see some of the scalar values are not being shown, I think. Because you read here, there's 23. Now, if we count these, that is not 23, is it? So, if for some reason you're watching a video or you're looking for a value that is not there, whether it's vector, scalar, texture, or any of the others, and it's not there on in your editor, you're like, well, where the hell on earth is it? I'll show you. See this button up here? It says show all material parameters. Click on that, and oh my god, what's happened here? Right, we have now access to all 23 scalar parameter values. So we've got 8 damage values that you can put in if you're using them, your resin amount, hit effect, and vehicle tread speed. Yes, they used this in UT3 and they've kept it in there. For my tank ones, I use a different material because I've got a different code. Well, somebody gave me some code that actually works the way I've done it, but that's in the tank one. Okay, so you've got all them. Quick one on the texture parameters. This is where you link all your textures into. Now, if you look at this, yeah, damage mask 2. Why has it got 2? I don't know. Right, diffuse, emissive mask, emissive, normal, overlay. No, we don't use that because it's not ticked. Right, specular power. That's where you put them all in. Okay. Now, front parameter values. Nope, not interested. Static switch parameter values. Use vehicle brake and reverse lights. Now, this is actually set up in code. If you don't have it ticked, then it's not going to work. Okay? Now, it's in the Scorpion code. I know I've seen it somewhere. But that's a different tutorial. Okay, this is just so, if for whatever reason you're like, I'm sure I got brake lights on there and they're not working and the code says it's okay, have you ticked this? Thing to watch out for. Okay, now, light mask settings, nothing ticked in there. I think for the simple reason, as we're doing UT3, we didn't have light masks. So if you want to play around with that, that's up to you. I'm not going to touch it. Now, the thing that I mentioned earlier is this is a instance, a material instance. This is where you can go in, play around with your values without affecting the main material. So let's go have a quick look at the main material. Now, the easiest way to do that when we've got this open is click on the little magnifying glass, which will find it wherever it is. In this case, it's under vehicles, vehicle oil package materials. And here we go. Double click on it. Now, sometimes in recent builds of the editors, you might have to double click twice on it. But it seems to be picking up now, so let's go for it. Now, I know this video is going to go on and on. This is why I actually said I'm going to do it separate. Alright, to give you a heads up. Let's just move that out of the way. And here we have, in full screen mode, the actual, this time, the material editor. Okay, so you've got all your parameters here. Alright, don't really want to go into that. Just show you that they're all there. Yeah, and play around with that as much as you wish. Now, where did all these values come from? Now, if I scroll out as much as I can, won't let me scroll out anymore, you will see a absolutely load of spaghetti. Now, this is how Epic set up a base material for the vehicles. Now, if I scroll into here, I saw something just there. Alright, brake light, reverse, emissive. What else we got? There's all your shimmer, your what was that? Scalar parameters? No, not scalar. The ones that was above that anyway. Now, where's that lot? So you can follow this up. And so, where's that going? Oh, it's oh my god, yeah, spaghetti. Right, but pretty much this is how they've set it up. These are, if you go right in here, you can see that's a 2D parameter, but that's a parameter. Okay, get onto UDN, see what these things are. Okay, if you're making your own, I'm just doing this to sit so you can see where things are. Okay, there's all your damage masks to play around with. Your specular power, normal for your damage and your detailing. If we go up here, you got your diffuse settings. That's a bit for the vehicle tread panel, which I don't know how to use because you got to code it. But that's the main thing. Right? That, believe it or not, is purely for your diffuse materials. Well, I say diffuse materials, I shouldn't say that. Your main materials. Right, that's this one here. Now, just to get you even more confused, let's get back to the Scorpion. Go back into materials. And let's go have a look at the... this will get you. You'll love this. The material instant time varying. Here we go. Let's have a look. Oh god, that doesn't look like a Scorpion. So let's just see if I can cheat here. Click on that. Where's my Scorpion? There's my Scorpion. Get that back up here. Click on there. And then we got the Scorpion. Now, doesn't that look a mess? Yep, it certainly does. But how did they do it? Well, first off, because this is a time varying, alright, down here, just open that up a little bit, you've got your current material, alright, which is your MITV burnout, which is parented to the material instant burnout, which is then again parented to the material burnout. Now, the time variable will not work if you just parent it to the normal material. So, well, as far as I know. So, first you got to make your burnout material, then your burnout material instant, and then your time variable. Okay, very, very time consuming. But yet again, here we go. Same sort of thing. Alright, but set out different. Okay. Now so your texture parameter values. Now if I just go, let's see if I can find something here. That'll be a bit more blatant. No, that's a damage normal. I want something very similar. No, vehicle damage. Probably not reflection. Oh God's truth. Come on. Start from the top. Damage mask. damage mass 2, vehicle normal, vehicle damage normal, spare power. There is a there we go, diffuse. Now, trust me, if you set these materials up correctly, you're not going to have to put all that in there. Okay, just showing you that because it's different. Now stop it. Your scalar values yet again. Burnout. Oh god. If you're wanting to play around with me, I just copy paste. That's the way I work. Alright. I'll use as many default values as I can. Vector parameters. Now yet again, if I hit that, no, not going to get any extras. Okay, vehicle normal multiply. Oh God's truth. Yep. Right. Very complicated. Take your time. More than what I am doing, rushing through this to have a look at them. Okay. Now, did I close that proper? No, I didn't. Well, what we're going to do very quickly is we'll go to material instance, which I'll show you as being exactly the same as the other instance. Okay. And then we'll go to the burnout value, burnout material. I can see this video is getting very, very long, and I'm getting a very dry throat, and I want to go home. But anyway, now here we go. Lots more spaghetti. If you want to set up your own one, go for it. But here's how Epic have done it. Okay, so that's basically just setting everything up for the rest of it. Okay, now what else have I got to do? Now, I'm not going to do the physics materials. I'll leave that for a separate one because this is dragging on. Now, very, very quickly, let's go into a DavCorp vehicle land buggy, so I can very quickly show you what I have. This is not the vehicle that we're going to be using for the coding, but I made my own base, but don't need it. I've just parented everything onto the Exxon base or the vehicle burnout, and that's what they look like. Okay, one thing to watch is the spawn one. Very quickly, if I can find it. I keep hitting that right button. Not there. There was something somewhere. The resin amount. Now, when you're doing your spawn material, I suggest you do a copy of one of the other ones. Okay. Now, this has just been pretty much, I know it's been about half an hour, but setting up your materials is very time consuming, very complicated, and you really need to look where you can. If you're using the UTGame code, go into one of Epic's vehicles, have a look at what they have got, what they need. Now, I'll cover it as well in, because it's very important, because we're going to have to put a lot of these in via code, so we're going to be skipping about left, right and centre. Okay, but have a look at what Epic have done, see how they have set theirs up, and just initially, for your own peace of mind, when you're learning along, just copy what they have done, put your own stuff in, and then play with it. Because there's no way anybody here is going to be able to sit there and spend all day boring your head on showing how each variable is going to work on a material. Okay, so my battery's running down, so we're going to leave it as it is. I hope I've gave you at least a little insight onto the vehicle materials and where you've got to go. I'll try my best to cover anything extra in the follow-up tutorials when we actually start putting different vehicles into the game and setting everything up and playing with them. But I didn't want to have to cover this in each and every vehicle tutorial. Okay, so next time round we're going to be hopefully start looking at setting up meshes and things like that. Okay, so I'll see you then, and take care, and bye bye now.